Hey everybody, Doug here from the Frog News Network. A lot going on today. I had an emergency, so I didn't get the thumbnail up and the show up right away, but we'll deal with it. Here's what we got. We got a special guest tonight. Christine is bringing somebody on. I'm waiting for Mike right now. But let me go on and call some places out. I'll get you guys on just as soon as we do our little opening here. Where are y'all watching us from tonight? Ontario, thanks. Welcome to the show. Indiana, welcome to the show. Arkansas, welcome to the show, guys. Hey, how are you doing? Nice for you. Thank you for joining us. Michigan, Tallahassee, Roanoke Rapids, Kentucky. We're filling up fast. Make sure you share this out and please like and share. Please like and share so we can tell as many people what's going on. California, Illinois is in the house. I think Fred Vegas for Virginia. I don't know where that's at. Indiana, South Carolina in the house. Hold the forking line already, huh? Forget about it. Lakeland, Florida in the house. Texas in the house. Twisted, Oklahoma. Arkansas in the house. Canada in the house. Thanks for joining us. Springfield, Illinois in the house. Thanks for joining us. Shelby, North Carolina. Thanks for joining us, Terry. You guys mean so much to us. Everybody that joins and contributes to the show, thank you so much. New Jersey, Delaware in the house. We're up to 1,500 already. Crank it out, guys. Georgia in the house. Texas in the house. Knoxville, Tennessee in the house. We do have a special guest tonight. I'm going to kind of turn the show over to Christy and special guest. And then me and Michael come in at the end of the show and tell you what we know and what we learned today. Okay, Lizard Lick, North Carolina. I've been there. I rode right by the tow truck place. That was a show, Lizard Lick. And he thought it was this big place. It's really a small tow truck company. Florida in the house. California in the house. We'll get you on soon, guys. Just be patient, please. All right. Durham, UK in the house. That's the longest one. We had Australia last time. Indiana in the house. Atlanta in the house. Birmingham, Alabama. Mississippi. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show from Kentucky. Arizona in the house. That's where it's all going down. World War III has started. Yes, it has. Pay attention to what's going on. It's a known fact. They're not going to let them keep shooting rockets over there. This is where it all starts, and we'll get into it. And the gas is another part of it, and then it's going to go haywire. We think there's a shooting at the gas station right up the road from our house. Nothing new, though. We carry a pistol when we go there. But when there's not a gas shortage. Upstate New York in the house. Asheville, North Carolina in the house. Gulf Coast in the house. Okay, guys. I'm going to give it till 5 minutes. We're into the show, and then I'm going to start the show because we just got so much to talk about. Moscow in the house. Mother Russia. Elizabethtown, Tennessee. Hey, guy from Russia, they're blaming everything on you guys for the oil pipeline. St. Louis in the house. Orange Park, Florida in the house. Cologne, New York. Is that right? Arkansas in the house. Crank it up, guys. We're up to 2,000 now. I want to break the record. 7,000 tonight. Florida, Flow Rider. Remember that? Alabama. One more minute, guys, and then we're going to crank it out about 30 more seconds. Then we're going to start. Cookeville, Tennessee. My friend lives in Cookeville, Tennessee, which is what, about 70 miles from Nashville? Pretty sure. Nice little town. Uh-oh. All right, so I'm going to bring Christine in. Christine, are you there, honey? Hello. Hello.
Hi.
How are you tonight? I had a great day, really. I told you about it. I don't know if I'll share all of it here, but it's funny how God works in mysterious ways. I told you I was struggling, and he fixed that. You know what I mean? Daddy to the rescue. That fixed all that. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And I wanted to take her out to dinner, but I wanted to get the show done. And I said, "You're next available. Just tell me. I don't care if it's lunch." She could have called me from Florida. I'm on my way. You know what I mean? I'm on my way. So I'm going to pretty much let you take it from here, and then you introduce your guest, and I'll bring him right from the green room right over on here and explain what's going on. Okay. So I'm handing it over to you. We're waiting on Mike also.
All right, give me 1 second. My daughter's setting up the air conditioning in here. It's actually
okay.
kind of warm in here, but she's got it all controlled. So she's gonna go get the control. So yes, first of all, I wanted to let you guys know how this kind of all came about. A little bit of background. I'm going to make it pretty short and brief. So the gentleman who I'm about to briefly introduce to you, he is a connection that I made through, maybe some of you guys have seen me post 1 or 2 videos on my personal Facebook page through Christopher Keys. I've kind of talked about him significantly because he and I have connected based on some of the things that we are trying to accomplish. He is in Alabama, and he's been very proactive with being very patriotic, fighting against a lot of the things that are trying to be imposed on us. And so, you know, we've kind of taken the lead here in our areas. And so that's kind of how Christopher and I connected, through a friend of mine who I think is probably watching now, Mandy. One thing led to another. He introduced me to Lewis Ewing, who's going to be coming on in just a second here. And he and I have had 2 or 3 conversations for quite a long period of time on the phone. And he has helped some of the states. He's had a lot of legal background. I'm going to kind of let him give you his information so I don't miss any of it up. And the whole purpose for me asking Doug and Mike to bring him on is because we feel like this is also a platform for resources and knowledge, and to give you guys tools that you can use. Obviously, if you're on here, you are for freedom, you're for patriotism, you're for what we are fighting for. So he's going to share with you some of the information that he feels he can give to you, that he wants to share. He is available, as I'm sure he will tell you, to connect on a one-to-one basis. I know he and I and Mike are going to be connecting with some other people here in North Carolina to get some documentation and things together. Also, we are going to be addressing through our Impeach Cooper group, myself and Kimmy Kim, who are kind of taking the charge in Raleigh to do some things to fight back against the corrupt governor that we have. So you can feel free to do that as well in your state or wherever you are, with some of the knowledge that he's going to provide to you, or some of the services that he can offer to you, because obviously he knows a lot more about these things than we do. So I'm going to kind of brief him as soon as Doug brings him into the show. We're going to go, I guess, Doug, you said till probably about 10:15-ish. Turn it over to you guys.
Well, we'll go as long as we need to go. There's a lot of stuff happening. I'm going to bring him in right now.
Okay, cool.
All right, welcome to the show, sir. He's muted. I can't hear you.
You have to unmute yourself.
We cannot hear you.
Let me send him a message.
He's not unmuted from me.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not blocking him, so he just needs to make sure his mic's plugged in and working.
Let me make sure he's got this. So if you can hear us, Lewis, give us a thumbs up. Okay, so there should be a button down on the bottom where you have a little mute button there. Just kind of unmute yourself. I'll talk first.
Okay, I got it now. Can you go ahead and speak now? No, I don't hear him. You might have to go out and come back in.
But I know as far as for us goes, we'll probably go till 10:20, however long Lewis wants to go, because we have a 10:30 call.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Me and Micah got plenty of stuff.
Can you hear me now?
All right, we can hear you now. Your camera's a little high. If you can tilt it down, just there you go. Now we can see you. There you go. Good job, sir.
Okay.
Awesome.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Frog News Network. Carry on. Tell us what you know.
Okay, so this is Lewis Ewing, and he is a wealth of knowledge. I would suggest that you get a pen and paper out. I'm going to kind of just ask him some questions, ask him to go over kind of some of the information that he shared with me. He lives in Washington. He's self-employed. He has been an ex-federal lawyer with tribunal laws. And so he is a wealth of knowledge to us. So Lewis, if you want to kind of tell everybody, basically, I told him you and I connected through Christopher Keys, a little bit about.
Right, I'll give you guys a little bit of my background. I am not a regular state licensed bar attorney. I never attended law school. I have never obtained a law degree. I have never taken or passed a state bar exam, but I've actually been authorized to practice law by 2 state Superior Court judges. You can look them up. Judge Carolyn Dimmick, she is a state Superior Court judge. She authorized me to practice law back in 1999. I turned 60 last year on December 8th. Again, in 2004, I was authorized again to practice law by Judge Dale Rammerman, who at that time was one of the oldest and considered among the wisest judges in the state of Washington. At that time, he was the chief presiding judge of all the King County Superior Courts in downtown Seattle. Now, that's the busiest court system in the state of Washington. You got to be a pretty sharp cookie to be the presiding judge of that court. Well, got news for you folks. This is kind of funny to tell you this story. He actually drove from downtown Seattle all the way to Kent, Washington, to the Kent Regional Justice Center. He actually had plans to have me arrested for unauthorized practice of law because I wasn't a regular bar attorney. He had 5 sheriffs lying in wait in the courtroom, 3 on the left and 2 on the right. And I walked through the middle of the pews of the Church of Satan. That's what I call it. Walking through those swinging doors into the Star Chamber, Kangaroo Court. And basically he threatened me. He says, Mr. Ewing, I'm going to warn you right now, if you attempt to represent your client in my courtroom, I'm going to have you placed under arrest for unauthorized practice of law. And I said, well, Your Honor, if you want to be on the front page of the Seattle Times and the Seattle PI and Channel 4, 5, and 7 News admitting that you've never read the State Bar Act and that you had me arrested for violating a statute that you've never read before, let's do it.
Wow.
Mr. Ewing, you cannot practice law in the state of Washington unless you're a member of the State Bar Association. Are you a member of the State Bar? I said, well, Your Honor, you've never read the unauthorized practice of law statute. 2.48180. Subsection 7 says it's an affirmative defense to the charge of unauthorized practice of law if any other statutes, rules, regulations allow me to practice law. 2.48170 says if I am a member in good standing of any other state or jurisdiction, I shall be entitled to practice law in all the courts of the state. Which part of shall don't you understand, Your Honor? And 2.48190 says that if I satisfy a judge in a court of general jurisdiction that an attorney from the Washington State Bar Association is allowed to practice law in my court, automatic reciprocity, which they removed that word from the statute ever since I used it against them, automatic reciprocity is granted without admission by the Supreme Court. Sir, I don't need your permission. I don't need the Supreme Court's permission. I have the authority, the privilege granted by statute. Your Honor, I took the liberty of going down to the Archives Division of the Secretary of State's office, and I traced RCW 2.48170, 180, and 190 back to the Remington Revised Codes, to the Ballinger's Codes, to the Pierce's Perpetual Code, to sections 3275 and 3276 of the Territorial Code of 1881. And it says if I present any judge in this territory a certificate from any other territory, I shall be entitled to practice law in all the territories in the United States. Mr. Ewing, where have you been authorized? Well, Your Honor, I've been authorized to practice law before the Muckleshoot Tribal Court, the Tulalip Tribal Court, the Lummi Tribal Court, the Snoqualmie Tribal Court, the Puyallup Tribal Court. Your Honor, I've also joined the Federal Bar Association because I've been a practicing lawyer for more than 5 years in the tribal court system. I became admitted to the federal bar. I'm a federal lawyer. I'm a member of the American Bar Association, which has the same requirement. You have to be practicing lawyer for at least 5 years. I joined the American Bar Association. And Your Honor, since I am a tribal lawyer, I've also joined the National Native American Bar Association and the Northwest Native American Bar Association. I opened up my wallet and I said, Your Honor, I got so many bar cards. I let my bar cards, the plastic kind of fall to the floor. And I said, Your Honor, you can call me Fletch.
Well, it just sounds like I'm interviewing or having on the show Russell Gould. You know who he is?
I've heard
The
of
guy
him.
with the flag. He's throwing out all the numbers and stuff. That's great stuff, man. Great stuff.
So anyway, he ended up allowing me to represent my client. Now, he ultimately ruled against my motion. He denied it, but he made a finding there was no contempt of court, which I won indirectly because my whole motion was my client couldn't be held in jail in contempt of court because he hadn't committed contempt of court. And the Auburn Municipal Court judge was all pissed off because my client had skipped out his DUI classes and whatnot, 28 classes for violating one contact order. So he hit him with 28 multiple counts. He was going to give him 28 years in prison for violating one contact order.
Wow.
You can only do a year in jail for drunk driving. So how are you going to hit this guy with 28 counts of violating one contact order? It doesn't make any sense. So anyway, make a long story short, I've been authorized to practice law. by several state Superior Court judges. The unique thing about Carolyn Dimmick, she also happens to be a United States District Court federal judge. So I've been authorized to practice law by 2 state Superior Court judges, a federal judge, and several federally recognized Indian tribal court judges. I was authorized to practice law under the common law rule, the same way that it was done prior to the 1930s, before law schools even existed. I did it like Abraham Lincoln and about a dozen other famous lawyers in American history. A lot of people don't know this, but there's actually several other ways that you can become a lawyer without having to go to law school and without having to obtain a law degree. You could actually go clerk for a judge for 2 years. You're eligible to sit for the bar. But taking and passing the bar is not what really makes you a lawyer. There's another way. It's also called an intern. In most states, they call it a Rule 9 legal intern. If you work as a Rule 9 legal intern underneath an attorney who's a member in good standing of the state bar, you're eligible to sit for the bar. But most attorneys don't even know this. Taking and passing the bar is not what makes you an attorney. What really makes you an attorney is when you go to court with your first client and a judge allows you. When a judge allows somebody to represent somebody else in court, he's granted that person his permission, his license, his authorization to practice law. There's actually no such document called an attorney's license. You can't go to the Department of Licensing and purchase an attorney's license. I mean, seriously, you can't have any dummy at the Department of Licensing counter selling an attorney's license to any goofball sovereign citizen who's going to go up knocking on your mom's door and your grandma's door and say, hey, I'm a real lawyer. Here's, you can't allow these people to hang up a shingle, pretend to be a lawyer, and go ask your grandma for $10,000. There's people out there that are clearly incompetent who don't know the law. And there is a difference between people who are patriotic. I come from a patriotic background. I'm a constitutionalist. I have driven without a driver's license since December 8, 1996. I have flyers that I put out with my name on it that says I drive with no license, no insurance, no seatbelt, and smoke pot while driving, and so can you. And you folks are probably unaware of this, but it's because of me and my Ultimate User flyers, which first caused and forced the state of Oregon to legalize medical marijuana, then Washington, then Colorado, and about 20 other states. The government right now is in a mad rush to legalize medical marijuana because they're afraid everybody's going to find out about me and my Ultimate User flyer, which shows you 2 state statutes side by side with 2 federal statutes that have been on the law books since the early 1970s. It clearly shows you marijuana is already legal. It has been since the early 70s. Now think about this. How many people are in prison right now who were arrested, charged with, and found guilty of possession of marijuana, but the government had no proof of a sale, no proof of an attempted sale, no proof of a distribution, and no proof of an attempted distribution? Every single one of those people that they just had mere possession, they're in jail illegally. Their lives are being ruined because the attorneys have kept this to themselves. This shit, excuse my language, these statutes have been on the law book since the early 1970s. And it's been kept secret from the public. And so they're hoping all the dummies will say, well, let's vote to legalize it. Well, gee, you're voting to give the government more power over you. They got everybody conned and fooled into believing you have to go to the government and ask mommy and daddy for permission, to go hunting, to go fishing, to own a dog, to own a cat, to get married. You have to go to the government to get permission to have sex next. You have to have a sex permit. It's ridiculous.
So, Louis, let me ask you this. That was great, platform information. So with the things that you have already accomplished, maybe you want to hit on some of those here, some things maybe in the last year and a half, 2 years that you have taken the initiative to do to help in regards to the things that are going on in this world. And then just a friendly reminder, what you and I talked about before on this show, we use the word jab, we use the number 45, we use the initials JB, just to kind of keep ourselves in that safe zone. But if you can kind of let the viewers know, kind of in an outline format, what their rights are, as far as I told you, some of the things that have happened to me, as far as wearing the mask, as far as getting the jab, as far as potentially contacting you. So some of the things that you have done since all this has started and what you feel like you can offer to people right now.
Right. Now, what I do, folks, is that I specialize in helping pro se litigants. Okay, I don't represent people in court. And what I do, an attorney can't do, and what I do, a paralegal can't do. I have exactly what the people need. Now, I'm going to point something out to you folks. The attorneys, the members of the bar, the regular lawyers, they are not going to do it. I'm telling you right now, across the nation, all the attorneys, all the lawyers, all the law firms are losing these cases on purpose. Now, there's some people out there in the background who put out information about the HIPAA law and the ADA. Well, that only helps people to have a disability, a mental or physical disability. It doesn't do anything for the rest of you folks. The ADA and the HIPAA violations doesn't do anything for you folks who don't have a mental or physical disability. And so I created flyers making the actual correct legal argument regarding the mask. I'm the only one in the United States that's put out this argument based upon the separation of powers doctrine. So what I've done, right now I'm about almost halfway done through half the states, where I put out a flyer showing that the governor, and what I do is I name each governor for each state, and I go to your state constitution, and I'm putting the section that marks out the powers for the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. And so my argument on my flyer is the governor, he's the chief executive officer. Okay, he's guilty of official misconduct. So what I'm doing is I'm going to your state's criminal code, and I've looked up the criminal statutes for official misconduct, malfeasance of office, misfeasance of office, perjury, forgery, false swearing, presenting fraudulent instruments for filing in a public record, which is a felony crime. And I don't know if you folks are aware of this, but every state on the governor's emergency powers, in my state, it's under RCW 38, which is entitled Militia and Military Affairs. Every state has a similar chapter entitled Militia and Military Affairs. That's where you are going to find your governor's executive authorities, his emergency powers. Every state has a statute that says when there's a World War III, an emergency, a disease pandemic, the governor is required by law to issue a proclamation or a declaration. Now, I discovered about 80% of the states also require it within that very same statute. The governor is required to file his proclamation or declaration of the pandemic in the office of the Secretary of State. Well, hey, that's a public office. Other states, they require the governor to file it in the code revisor's office or the statutory revision or law committee office. Guess what? That's a public office too. So I don't know if you folks are taking the time to look this up, but you should. Go to your state's criminal codes, look up the definitions, go to the definition sections in the perjury, where the perjury is located. Go to the beginning of that chapter, look at the definition of perjury. In every state, the definition of perjury is if you don't know something to be true, you know it to be false. Look up false swearing. Look at the definition for false swearing. Look at the definition of forgery. Forgery isn't just me stealing your checkbook and going shopping. Forgery isn't me just picking up your credit card and signing your signature and going shopping. Forgery is when you create a fraudulent document that contains materially false statements, and you created that document with intent to use it for a fraudulent purpose.
Right.
Well, guess what? How does the governor, is the governor a licensed medical practitioner? How does he know that there's a pandemic? And how is it that he got the chief medical examiner of the state to issue his writing? Because in every state, the chief medical officer of the state is also issued a statement in writing saying there's a pandemic based upon the information or the evidence provided by the WHO. I'm going to start singing that song, Who Are You, by the WHO. And we're going to find out that, follow the money. Who's got a large money into the WHO? Bill Gates. Right. So based upon the evidence provided by Bill Gates and all the other criminals that are running our country, the WHO, they're not a government agency, but the chief medical examiner is issuing a false letter of a proclamation that there's a pandemic that exists. And then the governor says, well, the chief medical examiner says, and he says, and he says, and she says, this is hearsay. None of them have any evidence. So what I'm doing is I'm creating these flyers to show everybody an argument that nobody in the whole United States has made. It's based upon the separation of powers doctrine. You can Google that term, separation of powers doctrine. It's based upon the checks and balances. There's supposed to be three branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial. And so my argument is the governor, as the chief executive officer of the state, he has the authority to enforce the law. However, as the executive officer of the state, he has no authority to make law on his own motion. He cannot make a law. The mask mandate is not a law. Only the state legislature can make a law. Guess what? No state has enacted a statute that requires people to wear a mask. In fact, many states actually have a statute on the books that make it a felony crime to wear a mask, because you could be a bank robber. You could be going into a grocery store wearing a mask to rip them off.
I interrupt you real quick. I'd like to ask the question, what's the difference between a state statute and a law?
Okay. the state statutes are only prima facie evidence of the law. So if you go to your state statute books, in the very first book on the shelf, there's a section called Rules of Construction, and it tells you how to read the statutes. And in that chapter, there's going to be two statutes. One that says that the statutes are only prima facie evidence of the law, which means at first glance, it appears to be law, but it's a rebuttable presumption. The actual so-called law is the underlying session law, the statute that's supported by a Senate bill and House bill. You're going to find that on file in the office of the Secretary of State, the Archives Division. So the cops out there on the street, they're not actually citing you with the actual law. They're citing you with the prima facie code, which is just a statute, which is printed by a private copyright, which is technically illegal because the states can't own a copyright legally.
That's right.
Okay. So a lot of sovereign citizens out there, and this is what I call them, these people who misquote the law out of context. They'll say, well, statutes aren't the law. I said, really? So if I punch you in the nose, if I rape your wife, and the cop arrests me and charges me with punching you in the nose or raping your wife, so I can go into court and I can say, well, Your Honor, you have to dismiss the charge because the statute's not the law. And by the way, Your Honor, your daughter's real cute, so I'm going to do something to her here in the courtroom right in front of you, and you can't charge me with raping her or beating her up because the statute's not the law. That's just silly nonsense. What statute not the law means is the underlying session law. Okay, but here's what I've traced. There's a big trick going on in all the states. I've traced the Revised Code of Washington. I have a case from 1961, Perosa versus Tacoma. You can read the quote on it. It says, you shorten it up, the Revised Code of Washington is not the law. The Supreme Court warned the Code Revisor's Office to stop tinkering with the statutes. And here's what happens. The Code Revisor's Office, a group of bar attorneys, okay, the Code Revisor's Office in every state or the Statutory Law Committee is made up 100% of state bar attorneys. And so at the end of the session, they go over there to the legislatures and they say, okay, children, you had fun pretending to pass laws. Now give us the law books. Give us those session laws and Senate bills and House bills. And those attorneys, those scumbag bar attorneys, they take those session laws and Senate bills and House bills and they walk back to the Code Revisor's Office, the Statutory Law Office. They close the doors behind them and they get out pencils and erasers and they erase complete words and sentences out of the statutes. They add words. They add statutes. They put commas where they shouldn't have been. They take commas out. They put ors instead of ands. They put ands instead of ors. Sometimes they add complete sentences, and that's not the law. And then they take that, when they were done, they send it out to a private book publishing company, which has a private copyright, and they're publishing prima facie evidence of the law, but the statute itself is not the law. I'll give you a good example how I've beaten cases on this statute isn't the law. Years ago in my state, we had a case called State versus Rife, which my friend, a very well-known constitutionalist from Washington State, his name's Kurt Riggin. You guys want to look him up. He's got long hair. He's sitting in a chair. He's got a cane. He lives in Colorado right now. Kurt Riggin, he wrote the medical marijuana statute for the state of Washington. And I helped him beat a case in 2004. Kurt Riggin and I, in 2004, we beat the largest multiple felony count prosecution for manufacturing marijuana in the entire United States ever won by a pro se litigant. Kurt Riggin is probably the smartest pro se litigant in the entire United States. He's got way more court time experience than I do, but I'm the brief master. I'm the guy who does the research. Every single one of those 3-ring binders, okay, in the last 5-6 years that I've lived here in Moclips, I've put a dozen 6-foot-high 5-shelf bookshelves in here. This is just a small piece of my library. I've got a storage locker in Eastern Washington with like 25, 26, 27 6-foot-high 5-shelf bookshelves just like that I filled by hand, photocopying one page at a time at the law library over the last 25, 30 years. I'm crazy when it comes to research. I'm crazy when it comes to legal writing. You will not see a law office or an attorney anywhere in the state of Washington or probably anywhere else where you see any attorney or paralegal does the kind of research that I do.
So Louis, give us an example, like what you and I were talking about, what you've done for Christopher so far with some of the stuff, because you're amazing with your research and with the angle that you've taken and with where you are going with helping some people and getting something going with the local events about what's happening now. So if you can kind of tell everybody with some of the things you and I talked about what they can show or what some of the verbiage that they can use, say when they're getting kicked out of somewhere, or like the example I gave you with Whole Foods and wanting to take your temperature and all this crap, and just like what you're doing right now with Christopher, so that people know, and then they can feel free to contact you if they want to do something personally, or if they want to their state wants to hire you, just like we're going to be talking about for North Carolina and our governor, tell them some things you're doing now regarding the jab and regarding the mask, what you're putting in place.
Okay, so folks, like I said, I'm creating flyers. I'm still in the process of, I'm going to do all 50 states with my separation of flyers, my separation of power doctrine. I'm also doing a flyer showing each state's medical exemption. Now, I have written one flyer called my federal accommodation flyer, which has no state law in it. It's good for all 50 states right now. If you want to send me an email, you can send me an ad friend request if you want to on Facebook. My name is Louis Ewing, the way it's spelled on the screen, LuisEwing. If you want to write down my email address, it's rcwcodebuster@aol.com, yahoo.com, gmail.com, and protonmail.com. What we have to do is we have to create notices. Like right now, the stores are playing stupid. Like Costco is a good example. This is why I wrote the federal accommodation flyer. Costco is trying to say we are privately owned business and we're membership only. So we have the right to refuse service to anybody. No shoes, no shirt, no service. That's not a statute. That's not a law. Every business, I don't care if you're privately owned or not, they went to the state, they applied for a master business license. That license is the privilege. The state is the trustee of a trust, and they're supposed to protect our rights. Okay? They have, those business owners, they signed an agreement, a binding contract, promising to abide by all state and federal laws, which includes the state constitution, the laws of the state, the United States Constitution, and the laws of the United States, which both constitutions have anti-discrimination clauses. Both constitutions, state and federal, have equal protection of the law clauses. Both constitutions, state and federal, have due process of law clauses, which means you have to give me notice and opportunity to defend. You can't just arbitrarily create a policy saying I can't come into your store without a mask. You can't force your religion upon me. You're not going to make me become a Muslim. Okay? You're not going to make me or force me to wear a burqa mask. I'm not going to wear a burqa mask. I'm not a Muslim. I'm a Christian. And God's people aren't supposed to wear a mask. And I have a flyer showing a religious objection to wearing mask flyer, which shows the sections of the Bible that says we're not supposed to wear a veil over our face if we are children of God. The children of Israel are not supposed to be numbered, marked, chipped, vaccinated. We're not sick. The Bible clearly says in several different sections in my flyer, I haven't memorized those sections yet. I tend to memorize statutes a lot better because I'm trying to keep people out of jail. Okay. So anyway, the Bible clearly says only the sick need a doctor. The whole of the people don't need a doctor. Only the sick need a doctor. Okay, well, I'm not sick. I don't need a doctor. I'm not sick. I don't need a mask. I'm not sick. I don't need a vaccine. These people are violating our rights. But if people want to go out there who want to go suing right away because they had their rights violated, well, here's the problem. You didn't give them proper notice. And I don't know if you paid attention out there. I forget which states they are. Several months back off the top of my head, several people hired attorneys, lawyers. They tried to sue the governor. They dismissed their lawsuits on the basis the governor has qualified immunity, on the basis that there's a so-called pandemic. What we have to do is eliminate the qualified immunity. And this is something that I specialize in doing. I beat a lot of criminal cases by the fact that I prove that police officers commit perjury in open court. I'm an expert at overcoming perjury. Same thing with CPS social workers in a CPS case when they're stealing your children based upon lies. So what we have to do is we have to set them up. And this is what people, like I'm doing the flyers, but I'm also available for people hire. If they want to hire me to individually to write something special for them, for their specific Trader Joe's or Sprouts or Costco or wherever they're going to go shopping, anywhere it's discriminated against you, we have to set them up. Here's what the case law says. The doctrine of qualified immunity operates to protect all those except those who knowingly violate your statutory and constitutional rights. That's right. We have to teach the cops the law. That's right. We have to teach the judges the law. We have to teach the prosecutors the law because they're going to play stupid. They're going to play the three monkeys. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. When you go to sue them, they'll dump your lawsuit and say, oh, the police officer has immunity. You try to sue the CPS social worker. Oh, CPS social worker has immunity. They dump your lawsuit. And you're thinking, well, how did they get away with committing perjury? Well, I discovered this years ago. I taught seminars around the United States to patriot groups all over the United States. I was teaching in the late 1990s all over the place. The main case, you people don't know this, you want to look this up. Where do social workers and cops get the right to lie from? They get it from a U.S. Supreme Court decision called Briscoe versus LaHue. So if you want to learn where they get the right to commit perjury from, read Briscoe versus LaHue. Now, how do we overcome it? What's the next step? How do we overcome it? What's the number one best case to sue a police officer, to sue a state prosecutor, to sue a U.S. attorney, to sue a state patrol, a county sheriff, sue a CPS social worker, or somebody who's committed perjury and violated your rights? How do you pierce that prosecutorial immunity? The number one holding U.S. Supreme Court decision case is a case called Kalina versus Fletcher. But back to what everybody wants here is, how do we stop the mask mandates? And so, like I said, I'm creating flyers for this purpose. I'm available for hire to write documents specifically for individuals and to set them up for lawsuit. And what Christopher Key hired me to do, we had success in stopping his university. They were telling them you cannot attend, parents cannot attend a graduation for their children unless they're all wearing a mask. And he said he wasn't going to. And they were telling him, well, we're not going to let you in. And I said, well, we have to notice them on the law first. Here's the way it works. Let me repeat myself. This is very important. The doctrine of qualified immunity operates to protect all those except those who knowingly violate your statutory and constitutional rights. So if you go to sue the Costco employee or the Sprouts employee or the Trader Joe's employee, the judge is going to say, well, sir, ma'am, we can't expect this cashier at Costco to know the law. They're just a clerk. They just give change. They're not lawyers. They're not attorneys. They can't be expected to know the law. They're going to dump your lawsuit as fast as you paid the filing fee. So what we have to do is we have to give the store owners, the store managers, a notice that specifically cites the specific statutes they're violating, the specific court rules they're violating, the specific case law that they're violating. And if you can serve them personally, or you can send it to them by certified and registered receipt mail. And I keep these around just to show people. You got like this kind of notice. There's a sender on one side, article addressed to on the other side, and then also this notice. So I use, when you want to send somebody notice, I use both of them. The certified registered mail receipt. I don't know if you guys can see that good. It has a number and it tears off. Okay. So you can send them a legal notice by certified registered receipt mail. Now they have to sign for it. And you can write your own cover. You can take my flyer, for example, to be your first shot off the bow. Write your own cover letter saying, dear sir, I'm going to go shopping at your store. I'm not going to wear a mask. And I'm giving you advanced warning. You know, notice to agent is notice to all principals. Notice to principal is notice to all agents. You can word it however you want to. But I'm going to let you know in advance, I'm not going to wear a mask in your store. And if you refuse to allow me to go shopping in your store, or you cancel my membership, I'm going to sue you for breach of contract. Breach of contract, number one. Yes, because they have a contract with the state. They signed a master business license and application promising to abide by all state and federal laws. Okay, we have the right to engage in commerce. They're interfering with our right to engage in commerce. Okay, so that's a first violation, breach of contract. The second one violation is a violation of the 14th Amendment. And for you sovereigns out there, I don't care if you say it's passed or not, that's a red herring. That's another argument for another day. And I can prove to you the whole 14th Amendment was never passed is a complete red herring, because Congress never needed the permission of the territories and possessions to pass the 14th Amendment. And that's what we all are. You folks probably don't know this, but all the states are territories and possessions. Period.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna have to get to the part where we get the news out.
They're not their own corporations.
Right.
That's true. The state of Washington, state of Texas, state of North Carolina, they are a United States corporation. They have a federal tax ID number. You know, when you apply for a business license to be a McDonald's or a Starbucks franchise, they issue you a UBI number, a federal tax ID number. At the end of the year, they send you a United States corporation tax manual. So for all legal purposes, you are an employee of the federal government. That Starbucks, McDonald's, JCPenney, Sears, Best Buy, Costco, those are political subdivisions of the state. They're agencies of the state. They're instrumentalities of the state. And same thing, they're instrumentalities in the United States. They're political subdivisions of the United States. Okay, so Costco is bound by all state federal law. They cannot deny you entrance. So I'm creating documents. Now, more to the mask mandate, I want to point out something to you folks. If I had the financing, I'm telling you right now, every single governor in all 50 states has committed felony crimes. Every single governor has committed a felony crime called forgery. Look up the forgery statute. Okay. Now we can't charge them with perjury yet because the governors, they haven't testified in open court. Now, I don't know if you know, folks are aware of this, but first degree perjury is when you get caught lying in open court after you've been sworn in under oath by the judge in open court. Well, we can't charge the governors with first degree perjury because they didn't swear to their proclamation in open court. Second degree perjury is when you put a materially false statement in writing with intent and to file a document in court with intent to mislead the trier of fact, to mislead the judge, to make a ruling one way or the other based upon that false testimony that you put in writing. That's second degree perjury. False swearing is swearing to something that you don't know to be true, but actually false swearing is a lesser but included offense of perjury in most states. Now, if you look up the statutes for official misconduct, every state has an official misconduct statute, a malfeasance of office statute, a misfeasance of office statute. Some states have what they call non-feasance of office, or another state has what a statute called causes of vacancy, where it says they vacated their office. Now, many of these chapters have a statute in there that says if a public official is found guilty of official misconduct, any malfeasance of office, or of any felony crime, some states use the word or any other crime of moral turpitude, it says they shall be removed from office and never be allowed to serve in a public office again. So it's going to take a series of documents, what I would call like a summary judgment package. But if I had the right kind of financing, I could put together a package to pretty much to file felony charges against any governor. You pick them. Pin a tail on a donkey. You got the money. I can do it.
So, well, Louis, this was very, 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 very helpful. Like I said, and I'm going to put your information in the Telegram thread. I know there's a lot of people on here from North Carolina and those corrupt states. So I know we'll be putting some things together for sure for addressing, having you help us here in North Carolina. And like I said, I'll put your information in the Telegram. This has been really, really helpful. At least people know what's happening is quite illegal and some of the things that that are going on. And I appreciate you sharing all this for sure. So thank you for your time.
I got one more real quick thing. Really good news for everybody. Like I said,
Louis, I would like to add to what she's saying.
Yeah, I'm going to add to what you're saying.
Excuse me. Yes. I'd like to add to what she's saying. Yeah.
I don't know how much time we got left.
5 minutes. That's it.
5 minutes. Okay. Like I said before, there's a statute in every single state called presenting fraudulent instruments for filing in the public record. That's a felony crime. In some states like Texas, they call the statute obstructing a government record. If you file any document that contains any false statements, any public record, that's a felony crime. Well, in other states where I put out flyers like, Mississippi and Arizona and Florida and Texas and Indiana and Illinois, other states where I put out my flyers, about 2, 3, 4 weeks later, the governors got rid of their mask mandates. Guess what they did when they did that? They committed another felony crime. I don't know if you folks are aware of this, but there's another statute called concealing. Every state has a statute called concealing. So for the governors that removed the mask mandate, oh my God, I couldn't believe this. Go read the concealing statute. When you remove something from a public record, when you withdraw something from a public record, when you cancel something from a public record, when you erase something from a public record, destroy, obliterate, obfuscate, hide, when you take something out of a public record that contains evidence of another felony crime, you just committed a separate felony crime called concealing. This means we can pick and choose which governors we want to keep, which governors we want to get rid of. It's just a matter of putting together the right kind of paperwork. Now, they're going to fight it. So it's going to take a hell of a lot of paperwork to put this stuff together.
Right. Well, Mike, did you have a question for him real quick before we move on?
No, I didn't have a question. I just wanted to add to him that even though we may not have understood everything you were saying, Louis, we are grateful for the information that you did share that we do understand. And guys, what he's saying in short, okay, in layman's terms to me is we have the power. We just need people like Louis around to help show us where to get the information from to contain that power for the correct use. Okay. And that's what he did for the last 40 minutes or so, is share those things with us. And he did it rather quickly. So he's very versed in it. And I'm grateful to you for that. And I want to thank you for that. And guys, we need to work with people like Louis in the country and get our states going in the right direction where the people are actually for the government is actually for the people and by the people.
Right. That's right.
Because it's not that way right now. He's explained it to you 10 different ways. by law and by them interpreting the law the way they choose to overrun us and our power, okay, and create a corrupt government that we are responsible for replacing.
Right. Well, thank you again, Lewis. I'm going to go ahead, and Lewis and I will leave the studio. Thank you so very much, Lewis. I will see you here at 10:30. And anybody that's in North Carolina that wants to reach out to me, we're going to be working at 10:30 again with the Impeach Cooper group to get something rolling here in North Carolina. So feel free to reach out to me. Mike, I will be in touch. And again, thank you for allowing Lewis to come on and share the information. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thanks, Lewis. Appreciate you coming on, brother.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
Doug, could you accept my? Could you send me an add friend request? I'm on another 30-day Facebook block, so I can't send you an add friend request.
Yep, we'll do it. I'll make
Okay,
sure
no
everybody's
problem.
connected. All right, thank you. Bye.
All right, Mike, let me get you back in the stream. Well, let's get back here. Okay, guys, some of you guys are, and I love you all, but you don't need to be rude when somebody's talking and saying stuff. Yeah, well, we don't want this, we don't want that. He's giving us sound information. I know he's long-winded. That's the way lawyers are, guys and girls, okay? So let's get that behind us. That was great information. I appreciate him coming on. So, guys, this is what I'm hearing today. In my heart, World War III has been going on for a while, but it has officially started when they keep shooting rockets over there on the Gaza Strip. JFK Jr. came slam out on his Telegram group and says, "This won't be tolerated. This is an act of war, and we will protect our friends." So it's the start of the war. The gas is the start of the craziness. Okay, the East Coast has run out of gas. The next thing there's going to be a food shortage. This is why we told you to get all the stuff in previously. It's happening as we speak, but people just think it's the gas, right, Mike? It's not the gas. It's the gas, the food shortage, electricity shortage. Everything's going to be a shortage. What do you think, Mike?
It's not only going to be a shortage, Doug. It's going to be a feast or famine for a short period of time, because yesterday's show was the prelude to it. Controlled chaos, guys. What is happening? And they're calling World War III, which will eventually turn into a nuke threat. Okay, that won't come to fruition, but it's going to be the big scare. World War III with a nuke threat. Okay. We were telling you yesterday, controlled chaos. This is the part of the movie that we're all going to have a hard time swallowing. Okay. But they saved Israel for last for a reason. And you're seeing that now, okay? Now, we'll tell you that if you've watched any of the videos that are floating around on the net of the kind of defense mechanisms Israel's used so far, I mean, Gaza has pounded them with bombs.
And they got drones shooting rockets down?
Yes.
That is crazy, man.
Yeah,
that's better
the
than
dome. They call it the dome. And it's very powerful, but guys, some of them noisemakers are getting through without getting caught. So eventually, if they keep going, they'll strike.
They said they'll flatten
the Iron Dome. That's right.
If they keep shooting the rockets, they basically said they'll flatten it, and we'll come in to help them because they're our friends. So, but I just looked at the news. Our so-called commander-in-chief has not made a statement about a country getting bombarded by rockets, and they say that we got their back or anything like it. This guy's a missing idiot. He is, and it's all getting exposed as we watch this. You see what I mean?
And get your house in order, Tracy. That's exactly right. Very good. God, because we're dealing with God issues now. Okay, when you mess with Israel, you mess with God.
That's it. And we will defend them. And it's already been said. So they've been warned. They were shooting just a few rockets yesterday. Now they said over 1,000 have been fired today. 1,000. That's crazy. We will not. We won't let it happen. We'll be involved knee deep over there in the next day or so. Watch and see what I say. Then other countries will be pissed because we're helping them. This is how the war is going to start. This is everything. Y'all want to worry about when the 10 days of darkness is coming at any time now, because not. And we did see that video last night. It was from 2 months ago with Scott McKay and the other guy. So I didn't notice the background was changed because I don't watch enough of that to realize that. But what you see now, I mean, when it's daytime over there now, and when it's daytime here, it's night. It's daylight over there. They're just shooting rockets at them left and right. And like I said, this is the war that's going to start all wars. Watch and see what I say. It's biblical. Remember,
Very biblical.
watch the audit. Absolutely. More news today. Michigan's going to do a friends at an audit too, just like they've done in Arizona, and it's all starting, guys. I mean, it all started. Good news for Doug is that I got to talk to my daughter today. God works in crazy ways sometimes. I get a text, my daughter ran out of gas. The gas station's where she's at, got no gas. I got it all resolved, but it's just like God set that up so I could see my daughter. I ain't seen her since Christmas, and we got everything straightened out. God works in the greatest ways when you least expect it. You just got to keep your faith. And I shared that with Mike. I shared it with Christine about the struggles I was having, and there ain't no more because I kept my faith and knew that God's in charge, and he just fixed it with a snap of a finger. So just keep your faith up, man. Keep your faith up.
So Kathy says we're now shooting warning shots at Iran and in the Hormuz Strait, if I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, I can't never pronounce all of them. You know the one I can't never say, Jerusalem. I can read it, but I can't just say it. Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition, because that's what's going to happen.
Deuteronomy 31, verse 6, New International Version, okay? Be strong and courageous. Thank you, Donna, for posting. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. In many cases, guys, in this war that we've been, this digital war that we've been in, okay, in many cases in this digital war, he's gone before us, and he's prepared the enemy before we got there, prepared them in such a way to be defeated and to let them know that they cannot win.
Absolutely. Come on, guys, share it out. We're on here going to share what we got. There's things going nonstop. Don't look at the mainstream media.
Make no mistake that all the shots are being called right now by President Trump.
Absolutely. And it's I just pay attention to what's going on. Like, I come home and the gas station looked crazy up the street. I live where it's a Wawa, but it's not a very safe Wawa. So I passed by and I said, that looks like mayhem in the parking lot. They didn't have anybody out there directing people to the pumps like they did when we got my daughter's gas earlier. So my roommate comes home 20 minutes later and says, there's cops and fire engines surrounding that whole Wawa. I guarantee you there was shooting over, probably somebody trying to get gas. Don't think it won't get crazy. Don't think it won't. Protect yourself. I'm telling you now, with the gas shortage, that means food shortage. That means prices of everything are going up.
Guys,
this is the end of all of it.
I do not believe that it will be as severe as some people are saying, okay? We will see some feast and some famine, but we also have to remember, guys, when the military started moving after the 20th of January of this year, okay, these people, this military were preparing for this time, okay? They were preparing the whole time for this time. You got to remember that these truck stops where truckers are worried about not having gas to deliver food and other necessities around the country, the military set up so that they would. All right. We have
an emergency supply of gas.
Yes, that's right. We have more gas and oil reserves than we can use in 30 years as a country. Okay. We're going to see some suffer, and it's going to cause some pain, but it's not going to be anything like it really could be if we hadn't gotten the power of God behind us. Okay. And I think that's the best way to put it.
Well, that's what
God anointed Trump. God anointed the Q team. God anointed us Anons. God anointed every piece of this. And it is his time, and it's his time to shine. Did he say we were going to come through it without a scratch or a worry or something of that nature? Mm-hmm. No, he did not. But he said, confide in him, and you will find peace, and you will get rest.
Yeah, I would say, look at everybody panicking over gas.
We've
It
been
hasn't even
instructed.
started yet. It's steady yourself. This is just the first thing to set everything off.
Yes.
The gas shortage is just a steady thing to set. By Friday, things ought to be cooking so good you'll probably be cooking on your grill outside. Make sure you fill your gas bottles up. Get charcoal just in case. Be like a Boy Scout, a Girl Scout. Be prepared. We've been telling you for 2 months. I'm telling you, with them shooting them rockets and continuously shooting them rockets into the Gaza Strip, I'm telling you right now, that's the start of all of it. I called Mike early and said, this is the start that's going to start the war worldwide. So we'll go in there and help them. There'll be another country that said, we don't leave, we'll attack you, and then blah, 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 blah. And that's how it's going to happen. I don't know about the blahs, but the blahs. Something like that.
Well, what's really going to happen, guys, is that the NATO is going to step in and the United Nations, and this is where they get taken apart. Okay.
They're bad. They're bad.
Yes.
United Nations bad.
This is where they're going to get taken apart, and they're going to get taken apart by the alliance that Trump created when he first got into office, when he went around and had all the governments capitulate because he had all the evidence and he showed it to them. All right. So understand that there's a lot of different facets of this work at work right now, not just Israel getting the bad out of Israel, but also the United Nations, right? All right. Yeah. The United Nations has got to go too. Trump has warned them several times. If they step foot on the wrong soil, he will make a parking lot out of them.
He'll crush them.
Yes.
This is what's going to happen very soon. I mean, what kind of leadership? We don't have leadership in this country right now. Zero leadership.
On the civilian side, we don't.
If 45 was in charge, there'd be press conferences going on all day about what's going on over there across the sea and letting them know that we got their back. Not one chirp from this SOB. Not nothing. They don't even go down to the border. They don't care what's going on down there. They put the vice president in charge. She has done absolutely nothing. Bob Marley has done nothing.
He is about as useless as a Raggedy Ann doll. You know how when you pull the string out, the string's almost all the way back in, and that's what the problem is.
The new Barbie they came out with? It's Satan.
Oh my God, yes.
How can they let them produce that?
Baphomet.
I would refuse to carry that in any store.
That's just what you're seeing, and God promised that, and it was said in the prophecy of from Kim Clement that they would expose themselves in the end. Okay, so who makes Barbie dolls? Mattel. So Mattel, guess what? They just outed themselves.
Yeah. Look, Potato Joe. That's the best name I heard so far. Like a rotted potato. Potato Joe.
Potato Joe, man.
Mattel. The shortage is real.
We definitely are living in biblical times.
That's why we told you to stock up. Stock up. Be prepared. You go.
Yes.
You're not, we don't know if power will go out nationwide. I imagine wherever they need to do a mission, the power will go out for them to get the mission done. I don't think they're into taking us power. They might do this though. If the power with the satellites are ready to roll, they might take everybody's power out for a day or two just to crank on the free electricity. It won't be run through the lines that come to your house.
It's not end times, guys. It's not end times. It's the end of evil as it exists on earth. Okay.
There's no reason for an EBS yet.
Yeah. Don't claim end times is going on right now, because it's not. We're getting ready to enter to 1,000 years of peace, love, and God's grace.
Yes, we need to pray for Israel.
God has instructed us to pray for Israel.
He's getting 45 is getting a lot done. Trust me, behind the scenes, he is working. He's the hardest working president we've ever had. Which is, God is my witness. I'm going after the CPS. They're being taken down as we speak also. And the good side of China will prevail. And that's the people we'll deal with, not the CCP, which is like the CIA over here. That's all getting taken out. It's happening overseas. It's happening everywhere. Don't forget, guys and girls, like I heard Gene Decode to say today, people are not patient. They want everything to go. When are we going to get him back? When are we going to get the economy back? We are in a fight for humanity on this earth. you don't mind if they do a good job while they're working overseas with all the DOMs. You know what I'm saying? We want to make sure they have no power whatsoever when we switch everything over. That's what's taking so long. They're fighting back. We're not in control of the whole world yet. That's pretty much what he said. But we're close. Tracy,
How many is on, Doug?
4694. We're getting them. We're up about 1,000 since we come on.
All right.
Is this a Ezekiel war? Did I say that right? See the comment?
Ezekiel's war. Elijah. It's the time of Elijah.
I don't take everything Charlie says with a grain of salt. Bye-bye Vatican. You got that right. Bob Marley was killed by the CIA. Bob Marley is what Monkey Works refers to as the vice president, and he calls the president Flashbang, and he's up at the senior living center. He's funny as hell. I'm trying to get Trace Smith off here. When I see them, I will kick her, and my foot will be halfway up there. You know what? When I see a Trace on here, I haven't seen one. When I see one, I'll take that person off. Actually,
Charlie Freak is very good, guys.
He's the most.
He's the most spiritual,
the most trusted, but he is almost the most trusted. I believe he is if anybody could get in touch with the people that's in the queue, I think he could. If anybody could. But what he preaches is the absolute truth right out of the Bible.
Yes, very spiritual man. Very spiritual man.
I mean, he doesn't have a job. They live off the land. They grow their own food. They raise their own cattle. They run an animal place for animals.
Rescued animals.
Yeah, rescue animal place. And they're where they live in Mexico, I think. No one pays attention to the trolls. No, not even their mommies pay attention to them. That's why they come on here. I seen Chesapeake in the house. Chesapeake here. Love you guys. I just found you 2 weeks ago. Well, thank you. We love you back. Get ready for the big stuff. It's coming.
Listen to Days of Elijah when you get off the show tonight. It is a very powerful song. I agree.
I'm not getting into Nassar tonight. We've discussed it every time. If you need to know about Nassar, go to DuckDuckGo and look up Nassar.
Yeah, I mean, what you have to understand is the whole world's going to find out how evil the Catholic Church has been. Okay? The Catholic Church along with the Vatican. And it's going to be a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. But it's getting ready to happen. They're getting ready to understand how evil the Catholic Church has been.
Susan, you can donate right on the YouTube page. If you go up to where the picture at, there's a donate button. That's right, guys. On both YouTube pages, Doug Kuzma and the Frog News Network, there is a donate button now. If you'd like to donate to our cause, we'll take anything you guys give us. We run into stuff. It costs money to have a website. It costs money for cameras, microphones, all this other stuff. But somebody suggested it to me. I didn't, and after about the 12th person, I went in and
I will tell you this. I mean, even though we didn't feel the need to do that, God has provided for us.
Yes.
And if there's provision, guys, we can accomplish anything. And that's what we have done along with y'all. Okay. I mean, the power of God comes from y'all as well. That's on this show. And we are so grateful for all of that, right up to the hallelujah and praise the Lord for it all.
There's a lot of places that need to be destroyed, and they will.
A lot of churches would do well to understand that if their church is going to be good and not have money worries and things like that, and not to act like a business, instead act like a church, then God will provide for that.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
If it's His will. And God's provided for this show.
He has, because there's no way we're talented enough to have between 4,000, 6,000, 7,000 people on here. But in His eyes, we're doing the right thing, providing information. And that's why He's blessed us with so many listeners, so many people coming on.
With the resources.
And sharing everything, their resources, sharing their ideas with us. This is what God wants with humanity. Love thy neighbor, come together to help others. This is all part of the plan. It's evil not to care about people. It's evil not to help other people that are in need. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. The Three Gorge Dam guys, they showed a video today on the internet of one of the towns below it that has been ravaged by the water that's been leaking out of it. And it is crazy. All right. It is crazy the destruction it's causing, and it still hadn't busted yet. But there's a reason. Okay. And we don't know that reason, but God will tell us when it's the time.
I'm taking a picture. Today's Tuesday night, 4,600. It would have been more people on the night. I know. Like I said, I had a last minute thing. Emergency comes up. When my daughter calls daddy comes running, especially when I ain't seen her. So I didn't even get the thumbnail up till 8:30 tonight, and still got 4,700 people on the street.
Absolutely,
You
Kelly.
guys are amazing.
Kelly, you're absolutely right. We need to be the hands and feet of Jesus.
That's absolutely true.
Even God said, trust the plan, Carl. You're absolutely right.
Yes. There's just loads of things going on. Family first. I put God first, my family. Because God's going to take care of me and my family. You can believe that. Where can I send some vodka? I don't drink, but Mike might want some.
I'll
used
have a
to.
drink every now and then.
But if I come to Carolina, we'll have a drink. We're going to get Christy and me and Mike, and we're going to share a bottle of wine or something. That or some Jack Daniels. I don't know. Trust the plan. We go one, we go all. Yeah, that's the truth. We got to. And listen, guys, about the T-shirts, I just got into a bunch of T-shirt designs. I want to say almost 1,000 different T-shirt designs that are edible. No, you can't eat them. How did that go out? You can edit it and put your stuff in there, and they're amazing designs. So I'm going to be working with that the next couple of days. You'll see some new shirts in the store. They'll be towards patriotism. They'll be towards gun control, not gun control, but gun rights, stuff like that. Some real cool stuff. But they'll be coming in the next few days. You guys have been doing an amazing job with the T-shirts. I think we sold over 40 of them now. I expect to sell more too, and I'll keep posting the link in there as we grow with more merchandise in the Frog News Network store. People have asked for hats, so we'll get some hats made, mugs, whatever anybody wants. We can get it made. Just let us know what you want. And then I'll start mocking up some stuff and let me know.
So someone asked what's the latest news in Arizona. It was kind of quiet today, actually. There is a lot going on behind the scenes about the count, and most of it will come to fruition because what is tomorrow? The expectation of hearing some actual results, not just hearsay. Say it again. About
some of the books of the Bible that were missing and discovered, along with the Vatican gold.
I can't talk about that stuff yet. It's coming, though. It's coming, guys. Coming. It is coming.
We rescued all the gold from the Vatican.
Yes.
We now are in possession
650 plane loads.
$340 quadrillion. And like we said, they could make everybody on the earth a millionaire. They're not about to do that.
There's 3 books that are going to be very pertinent when the new Bible comes about and the missing books come about. And those are the 3 books that are going to talk about the Jubilee that we're getting ready to experience. They're going to talk about God's way through that Jubilee and the rise of humanity on earth. Okay. In a way. And life is going to be so great. Guys, stress levels are going to be reduced. Health issues are going to go way down.
Well, everything is going to be able to be cured naturally, and we don't have to take this demon pharmaceutical company stuff anymore.
That's right.
And when you get sick or something happens, you'll just go to a med bed. They'll put in your condition. you'll sit in there and you'll you'll be cured in that med bed. And it was funny because they made a big deal out of when 45 was with Fauci and all them idiots, that lady doctor, and he says, well, can't light and heat fix it? And they looked at him like he was from another world. Maybe he is, because that's what the med bed is, light and heat. And that's how they fix you. And a lot of it's sound too. Everything broadcast, what is it in 433 megahertz is godly.
440 is the devil's broadcast.
Uh-huh.
And 433 is God's.
When you can tune your dial to 433, you are directly on the wavelengths with Jesus himself and God. Know that's been kept from us. Television is not broadcast on biblical stuff. The devil broadcasts it in that wave. 432.
I agree with you. Fauci is a liar.
He's also a clone. That guy, it isn't the same guy. I would imagine the original Fauci's pushing up daisies. Absolutely. All right, come on, guys. I was hoping we'd hit 5,000. 4695. Share. We're going to stay on about 10 more minutes max because we did a show last night also, guys. We'll be on again tomorrow night because I feel like now there's going to be news to discuss every night if we're still on and be able to come up on air for you guys. We certainly will. Maybe they won't be hour-and-a-half shows. They'll just be 45 minutes to an hour show instead. But, that's where we're at with that stuff right now. Get some more questions from you guys, and we'll call it a night. I'll post the website on the Telegram group. I got to upload some new videos on there because I want to download them off YouTube and then upload them on the Rumble. And seeing that I'm not barred from YouTube anymore, all the videos are playing again. But I want a backup plan. I want them all downloaded and then reloaded up on Rumble.
Guys, Thursday night we're going to have someone on that's going to talk to us about the telomere science, which is part of the regeneration of your life lasting long genes. Okay. And you're part of your DNA, the telomere science, which has a lot to do with the upcoming med beds as well. And they're going to share an opportunity with us on it as well. So be here Thursday night and invite your friends. All natural healing process. It's going to start when the med beds roll out. It's going to start with all the
thank you.
When all the stuff is released for the cures, because we all know that Big Pharma knows there's no money in the cure.
What makes you think Fauci's in charge of anything right now? He's just playing a part in a movie. He's not in charge of anything.
He's not.
Zero. Well, y'all guys were too busy complaining about the guy talking earlier on our show that was telling you the laws that this can't happen. Also, that lady was at Oklahoma, the lady lawyer. She already has the stuff he's talking about getting cards printed up. She already has it all printed up. And we'll throw that in the Telegram group too, because you can print them right off your computer, walk right into any business. And if they open to the public, they cannot demand you wear a mask. Tell them to call the police. Have the police provide the law written here. And there's always a letter and a number right beside any law in any state or any county or city, the law. If you're going to arrest me for not wearing a mask, I want the law and the number, what you're arresting me for, because they're going to throw it out of court. That's not going to stick. What they're going to do is tell you to leave their property. They would rather not have your business. They cannot refuse you service. They can't. It's against their law, and you can sue them. It's discrimination.
That's exactly right.
There's just so much going on. I hope they got something to reverse the jab. And the good news is, guys and girls, I asked my daughter, I said, please tell me you didn't take the shot, but I won't hound you about it. Just tell. She goes, Dad, I'll never take that shot. My heart was so relieved because she works with the state And the state's always asking her, would you like a test? Would you like to get the shot? And she always refuses it.
Aussie Carey. Yeah. I'm so glad she didn't take it either, Doug. Aussie Carey, telomeres do get shorter as we age. We're going to show you how to revitalize those. All right.
Okay. It's been an hour and 15 minutes, guys. We're going to call it a night. Mike's been hard working all day.
The med beds were made by Tesla, the Tesla group.
But
the technology was kept
really
safe.
Super technology to them.
Right. Yeah, and the alien groups as well. But the technology was kept safe by the Trump family, yes.
Poser administration. That's a great line. What a pile of poop. Great one, James.
Hair on a biscuit.
Yeah, we're just hanging
Nicholas
like
Tesla.
a hair on a
That's
biscuit
right.
right here, man. Right there. That guy was one hell of a man. They didn't let him. There was no money in him giving out free electricity. There was no money in him showing how to wirelessly have electricity.
Guys, the first med bed was made out of plywood and a light and several different kind of lights. Okay, and he used to heal people in that thing.
That's it. All right, real quick. I'm gonna put the Telegram link. I opened it back up, but if you guys start going crazy in my Telegram group, I'm gonna shut it back down again. Act like adults. At least just act like it. I didn't say be adults. Just act like it. Invite link. Here it is. Let me see. I'll come back on. Well, how come it didn't do nothing? What the hell's wrong with that thing? Hold on.
Guys, we'll be instructed on what channel Confessions will be on. That will give us explicit instructions, excuse me.
There it is. I hit the wrong one. I hit share instead of copy. All right, now it should work. That always works better when you do it right.
Same bad time tomorrow.
All right. So listen, guys, if we help one person understand more about what's going on, know that this is a place you can come. We've done our job if we help with just one person. Excuse me. And know this is a place you can come to be not ridiculed, but you can share your ideas with us. No matter how great or bad they are, you know you're welcome here. We love you guys. God wants us all to come together as humans and live in peace. So this is what he's okay with our show. We wouldn't have these kind of numbers. And even to have 4,500 people on our show on less than an hour's notice is totally incredible. I'm convinced we would have had 6,500, 7,000 people if I put the thumbnail out at 9 o'clock in the morning. But don't fear, because all the shows are recorded and they're on the YouTube channels and they're also on my Facebook page. So know that the donate links are up, guys. If you do want to donate, we would appreciate it tremendously. So look, have a great night. We'll see you again tomorrow night. And as always, God bless. Mike, you have anything to say in closing?
God bless each and every one of you. We do love each and every one of you. And we're so grateful for God's gift to all of us in this time, this biblical time that we're all living in. How exciting can it be? Be sure to ground yourself in the Word of God over the coming days and prayer for Israel and each one of us, each and every one of you as well.
All right, guys. Good night.